Hey guys, it's Elizabeth with the Four Walls Podcast, and today I have Aisha joining. Thank you so much for taking the time,
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
and we're excited to have you. So, who are you on social media and in real life?
That's a great fun question to kick it off with. My name's Aisha. My social media handle is Aisha Tries because I love trying new things. And the little blurb about me is I am a ex-corporate girly who left her 9 to 5 a little over a year and some change ago because I just had ran into a brick wall with it. I was a woman who did everything she should do and was like, this isn't like what I want. This doesn't feel aligned to like my authentic self. And so we made some aggressive pivots, left, went on the mental health journey to like get ourselves together and like figure out our baseline, and then started doing a bit of traveling. I'm sure we'll get more into this, but like I kicked off the journey in Lisbon, Portland, then I did Mexico City, and like I try and like live in these places for extended periods of time. But yeah, that's my little story. And now I'm like building my own coaching business, helping women live more aligned and authentic lives, and I'm really excited about it. I just had my official like first group coaching call today, actually, like right before this. So we're just on a
Woohoo!
high of life right now.
It should be, absolutely. And congratulations on doing your first live and having that
Thank
go
you.
well.
Thank you.
So, how did you kind of get to the point where you're like, I need to quit this 9 to 5 and actually live for me?
That's such a loaded question. People are always like, what was your plan before you left? And I'm going to like totally transparently, there was no plan. I went to grad school during the pandemic and then finished there and got a job at a cool company with a cool title. And maybe, like, no lie, like 3 months into that job, I was like, I don't think I like this. But my dilemma was like, I felt like I was someone who always changed my mind and wanted to try new things. And so I felt like I needed to stay. And so I was like, let me just see it through. And then you get to like 6 months, and I was there for a year and a half probably, and they did layoffs. And I was like, obviously sad for a second. But then it like the layoffs happened right before summer, and I had the best summer of my life. I was like, oh, we are up, we're outside. I'm not stressed about this job I don't care about. And then at the end of that summer, because like obviously I kept like kind of applying to jobs, but I was like, I really don't want any of these. And then the company that I was previously working for reached out to me and was like, hey, we have a role open, but on a different team. Like, do you want it? And I was like, I guess. And when I tell you, like, let's say that job started August 15th, August 20th, all of July, and all of those first 2 weeks of August, I was on a plane. I was traveling. I was like in Cabo 2 different times because I just was like, I don't want to do this. And travel is like so freeing to me. And so I went back, I joined this team, and I was on that team for like a month. And this is also very abbreviated. Like I also was like really hating the job previously, but I had a little bit of space from it. I'm like, let me try again. I go back. It is, I mean, worse than it was the first time around, as you can imagine. And like to the point where I was just crying constantly. I wasn't myself. And I don't even want to say like the job was super toxic. Like people are like, were people mean to you? Did you have a horror? And I'm like, no, I wasn't necessarily like in the most toxic work environment by any means. It just like wasn't aligned to who I was and like what I wanted to be doing and how I saw my life. And because there was that deep misalignment, there was me just crumbling inside, like crying constantly, not doing anything, not leaving the house, all the things that brought me joy. Like I was like, I'm not going to do any of it. And then so finally on a Friday afternoon, there were like made up pretend deadlines as if we were like curing cancer at this company. And I remember calling one of my good friends and I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I think I have to stop. And she was like, put a call on the calendar with HR for Monday and like marinate over on the weekend. And so that's what I did. And I say I marinated on it, but like there's only so much like I've got 48 hours. Like how much thinking and planning can I really do? And so that Monday morning, I slacked my team being like, hey, I'm not going to be available today. I had the call with HR at like 10 and was like, today's going to be my last day. And then I had a call with my direct boss to be like, I can't do this anymore. And everyone was like super understanding. And then there were all kinds of other stressors that came from that, right? Like, what the hell are we going to do next? Like, but that was like step one.
You're like, okay, well, we got to the first step and then we'll figure out the rest of the steps as we go.
Truly. And you just, in hindsight's always 2020, but it's like you've figured out everything else in life. Like, why would this time be any different? Again, going through it, I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing any of this constantly? But now I'm like, you always figure it out. Why do you stress? Yeah.
Isn't that the crazy part of life where you're like, dang, I really made it this far and now I'm freaking out? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like at every turn, you're like, sweetheart, you've done this so many times in different forms and different variations. Like, you got this, I promise.
absolutely. So then how did you decide that you were gonna go to Mexico? Where was that along the lines of, okay, now first step is done?
Yeah. So the travel piece of my journey really didn't happen for a while. I've always traveled. I've always been like the girly who's like, let's go here for a weekend, let's go there for a week. Like, I love seeing the world. But when I first left corporate, it was not a pretty journey. Like, so grateful for it, but it was like therapy every week and a lot of like journaling, meditation, like really just trying to like get back to a baseline of like who I am and what I'm about. Because when you remove the like, when you have so heavily identify with something such as like your job, which is like a lot of people do, when you remove it, you're like, well, what the hell do I have to talk about? So that was like healing all of that nervous system regulation, believing that I'm allowed to like want something different to create a different life was really like a big part of the journey. And then maybe like 8 months in, I just got an itch to like go explore and like see something differently and see it in a way that I wanted to like immerse myself in a local culture. Like, I didn't want to just go somewhere for like a weekend, which is like what I had always done. I wanted to like really go. And so I started with Lisbon, Portugal. And to be honest with you, I thought I was going to go to Costa Rica. Um, and I didn't do Costa Rica. Have you ever heard of those travel companies? It was called Remote Year. It's not a thing anymore, but like they would all travel, like a group of people travel from city to city for a year around the world. And one of my good friends did it. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna go live in Costa Rica for a month. And in the most like loving and supportive way, he was like, I think that might be a little like rugged for you. And I was like, no, 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 like I can handle it. And I for sure, like I don't think I could do a month in a smaller beach town. And by the way, I've
Right.
tried it and it's like not for me. Like, it's beautiful, I can visit it, but I don't think I could do a month. Especially as the first one. So I ended up, another friend was like, you should try Lisbon, Portugal. I've heard great things. I had been to Porto, Portugal. And so I really just booked an apartment and I was there for like a little over a month and then like bopped around Europe after. There was a reoccurring theme in my life seems to be there isn't much of a strategic plan. It's more like what feels right. And then we just go with it and trust that we're going to figure it out from there. But yeah, people were like, I landed in Lisbon and the week before I got there, the weather had been 70 and sunny, 80 and sunny.
Ooh.
Okay, great. I'm packing shorts, sandals, flip-flops, high heels. Get there. It's like 70 and sunny for like a week, extremely hilly, and then it's freezing and crazy rainy like the next like 3 weeks. And someone was like, "Didn't you know they had a rainy season?" I was like, "No, why would I know that?" Like, a lot of people like to do their research and like be prepared. I was like, I'm just going to show up and figure it out. And I did, but it was a shock to the system. A shock to the system. But yeah, that's how we ended up in Lisbon to kick off the journey.
I love that because there are so many people out there just like you who are like, I'm just gonna show up and figure it out, and it always works out. But you definitely, it's a journey once you get there.
Literally, I'm a girly who like loves to wear high heels and like I even had these sandals because like I was like, I'm gonna walk a lot of places that it's like a platform sandal. Those broke 5 days into the trip. Like, I wore sneakers everywhere. I wore workout clothes. I was so unprepared. But again, I made it work. I figured it out. No, I wasn't unprepared in a way that it became like not safe or dangerous. It just was like a little shock to the system, if you will.
Inconvenience, if you will.
None of them were real problems. Yeah.
And that's like, in the moment, you're like, dang, you're like freaking out. But then, like, when you look back, you're like, wow, that really could have been way worse, but it was really just minor.
Literally. I'm like, it's so hilly. And you're like, you're fine. I was like, I'm gonna join a gym, and I was like, I don't need a gym because this city is so steep.
Get your leg workout in every day.
Yeah.
Going to the supermarket.
They walked to the coffee shop. I was like in a full sweat that first week. I was like, wait, I don't know that I'm prepared for this.
You're like, forget about the clothes. I'm actually not physically prepared for this.
Yeah. Glutes on fire. So
Well, how
funny.
was it? How was it living there actually?
It was really good. I was fortunate enough to be like introduced to a couple people prior to going. Both of them actually, one, it was she used to be a full-time traveler, maybe like 3 to 5 years prior to me meeting her. And she now like has a home in Lisbon and like is there full-time. And then another woman had been living there. She's from California actually and had been living there for like a couple years. And so that really helped to have people that were local and then also kind of have like a built-in social net. But then and so like they would take me to like different things, right? So like I didn't feel this pressure as much to have to go to what's the word I want? Like social outing, like meetup
Mm.
groups because I already knew people and also I'm like I don't say I have social anxiety, but like I don't always love going to those things solo. So that was really especially like it being my first time living or staying somewhere for so long,
Mhm.
like it really did help ease into the journey. And then, I mean, Lisbon is a beautiful city. It's like right on the river. There's so much to walk to. There's so much to do, so much good food. But again, like many things in the journey, I absolutely was like, is this the right decision? Like, what am I doing? Because there were like parts of it where it became I don't want to say sensory overload, but when you are traveling solo, one of the biggest challenges for me is I'm responsible for making every single decision, and every single decision is a new decision. And so
Mhm.
you think going to the supermarket is like an easy thing. Like you've gone to the supermarket your entire life, but not only am I finding a new supermarket, but I'm also seeing like new items on the shelf and deciding like what I want to buy and how I want to shop. And so, well, that doesn't seem like a big deal at all because it's not in the grand scheme of things. Those little decisions like really do add up. Like every day I'm figuring out like what restaurant I want to go to. Every day I'm figuring out like what activity I want to go to. And so that did become a lot for me. There's an area called the Algarves in Portugal that like everyone's like you have to go. It's so beautiful. It's like coastal cliffs. They're like it's just a train ride away. And I was like I wanted to go so badly. But I was like I physically cannot figure out anything else on this journey. Like I've gotten this far, I'm just going to stay here. And I just think it's probably a muscle you have to train. Like the more you do it, the better you get. But that decision fatigue was like so real. Like it's such an under talked about part of the journey of like solo travel, I feel.
Absolutely. And it hits you at like the most inconvenient time because you're just like,
Hmm.
dang, I really want like something to eat, but now I can't make a decision on anything.
It's so real. And like, I remember getting there like the first few days and my friends calling and texting and being like, what all did you do today? And I was like, I just have been in the house like trying to unpack and like find my bearings and like find the market and like like I hadn't done anything like over the top exciting yet because it was just like I really just like needed a second to like get my bearings before I could hit the ground running and adjust to the sleep. It was a whole thing.
Absolutely. And then I feel like, especially when you're on like an extended trip or you're starting to travel full time, people like expect like every day to be some like exciting,
Hmm.
crazy thing. And
Hmm.
it's like, no, this is just my life now. So like not every like imagine like you just living your life, friend. Like
Yeah.
there's lows.
Literally. And I think sometimes people like I don't think people fully get it because there's a difference between like a vacation and then like going somewhere and being there for an extended period of time. And I think when I make my content, when I am traveling, I usually say I'm living somewhere for like 30 days, but then people get upset with me because they're like, you're not living. But I'm like, but it's more than a vacation. So it's really hard to figure out like what the exact right word is. But there very much is a difference between like, I have a full 4 weeks at least to like figure out this city. Like, every day doesn't need to be the most eventful day. Whereas when I think you're on a vacation, you feel like you need to make the most of it, right? Because you only have 4 days, 7 days, or whatever it may be. You want every moment to be like action packed. And it's a very different vibe when you're doing, I don't know, slow travel the right word? Is that what the kids are calling it? I don't know.
think I think slow travel is what they would call it, but I also feel like if you're actually like living there, like you have a whole apartment, you're living there. And if
Yeah,
people don't like it, then like okay, then
it
don't
is what
like
it
it.
is. Yeah,
Congrats.
you know. Everyone always has an opinion, so it just is like part of the journey.
Absolutely. And you're never gonna please everyone, especially on the inters of nets. So,
Hmm.
just do what you want. The people
Literally.
that like you will find you.
For sure. For sure. You have to trust that. Yeah.
Man, so then as that time approaching in Lisbon was up, did you like go back home at all, or did you immediately like jump to the next spot?
When Lisbon wrapped, I have a friend that lives, I've known her since I was a teenager. She lives in Florence, Italy. So I went to Italy for a little bit, saw her, did some time in Switzerland. I went to Lugano. I had never been to Switzerland actually at all. So that was my first time in Switzerland. And so then after I did that, I came back home and reset because as a newbie to this extended travel, I had a 50-pound checked bag, I had a personal item, and I had a carry-on. As you may know, in Europe, elevators in apartment buildings is like not their thing. That first day when I had to carry that suitcase up those stairs, I actually think it was the closest I've ever felt to what I imagine a heart attack to feel like. It was hot when I first got there, and the suitcase was so heavy. And not only am I carrying the 50-pound suitcase, I'm also doing the carry on and the purse. And I just was like, and then so it made traveling beyond that really challenging. So, like, I went to Italy and saw the friend. She, like, gave me a backpack and was like, why don't you use this for a little bit? And, like, left my bag at her house, thankfully. And I used to be like, I don't understand why people travel with backpacks. Like, it's not really cute. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. I fully get it. But yeah, it just, none of it was like ideal or like, again, thought through really. But it was so great. So because of that, I was like, I need to go home and like reset, regroup, and like we can try this again after a little bit. And so then I really didn't know where I wanted to go next, but I knew the time difference to Europe was a little bit too much for me. Also it was kind of cold. So I was like, I want something, and I thought I didn't think it'd get, but so I chose Mexico City. And I was like, time difference is better. I've been to Mexico City a handful of times and I've really enjoyed it. I have friends that are there already. So, like, this will be an easier transition. Now, you may be wondering, did you leave the 50-pound suitcase behind? No. I, in fact, did not leave the suitcase. I again packed a 50-pound suitcase. I again packed a carry on, and I again packed a purse. Didn't learn a thing. But fortunately, this time I did have an elevator, and so that helped a lot. But, yeah, so then that's how I ended up in Mexico City. It was kind of like I don't want to say a last minute decision, but it was just like, I just need to pick and go and live
Hmm.
somewhere. And I want to try it. So we did Mexico City.
Absolutely. And Mexico City is Mexico City. How could you not pick that city?
Right. So again, people are like, did you do your research before you went? I'm like, no, I've been. Like, what do I need to research? When I was in Mexico City, there were two earthquakes. Yeah. And like the first earthquake happened on like my second day there, and I was like, good God, do I need to go home? It just was like, obviously being from LA, I'm used to earthquakes, but there was something about like being in a city by myself. I'm not fluent
Mhm.
in the language. Would you just were like, what's gonna happen? So that happened, and then also I learned, I don't want to say quickly, but early on that I don't know that big cities are for me anymore. There was like, I loved Mexico City. I love how walkable it is. The food is amazing. The people are amazing.
Mhm.
But just me, myself, and like learning what I do and don't like, I was like, I think it might be too busy for me. But again, I didn't know that
Mhm.
until I got there, tried it, experienced it, and like got the feedback. Because Mexico City is like a proper city, it is a big city. There's a lot happening, which makes it amazing. But if you're somebody who's looking for like a quieter, calmer pace, that like Mexico City's not it for you, you know? There's like, it was like, this is basically like New York City, but in Mexico. Just like lots of buildings, lots of people, lots of movement. But yeah, it was a good time nonetheless.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about solo travel too, is you kind of realize exactly who you are. Like there's nobody else's opinions that get to infiltrate your little world.
Hmm.
So you're like, wow, I thought I loved this, but I actually don't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's really freeing to be like to give yourself the permission to like be okay not loving certain things. Like I sometimes I struggle with feeling bad that I don't love things in the same way as other people, or people like feeling offended. Now, I just sat here and said, I think Mexico City is a great city. There's so much amazingness to it. I just am saying it wasn't for me, but there's a world of people who are like, how could you? How dare you? You know? And so giving myself the permission to be like, it's like, you don't have to love everything. It's okay to go somewhere and try it and be like, oh, this like isn't for you. And that's okay. You know? Like, again, I went into Mexico City thinking I was going to be this travel girly who could do just a carry on and whatever else. And like, I'm still not there yet. And that's okay. Will I get there? Maybe, but also like, maybe not. That's just like part of my journey, you know?
Yeah, and part of who you are. And I
Hmm.
feel like there's I don't know, I feel like social media has made it impossible for people to realize that two things can be true at once.
Totally.
Like everyone always wants it to be this way or that way, and it's like, no,
Hmm.
like you can love Mexico City and I can hate Mexico City, and that's okay. Like we can
Yeah.
both have different opinions. I'm not saying that I hate Mexico City. I'm just using
I
that as an
know.
example.
You're like, let me quickly clear the air.
For real, before I get trampled, like, how dare you?
No,
But no,
literally.
like, here, I'll just do it like this. Like, you can love big cities and I can hate big cities, and like, that can be okay, right? Like, we can
Totally.
have a difference of opinions. Like, that's very common. But like,
Yeah.
people online are like, oh my God, how could you hate big cities? And it's like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah. I just am like, it's not for me. And that's okay. And just because it's not for you or for somebody else doesn't take anything away from it for you, you know?
absolutely. So then, how
Mhm.
did you pick? Because you're in Puerto Escondido, right?
So in this very present moment, I am back in Los Angeles, and
Ooh.
I just got back from like a trip to Paris, and I was just in
Oh,
Napa, but I did go to Puerto Escondido right after Mexico City. So I was in Mexico City and I was like, hey, city life really isn't for me. I miss being by water. And I just miss like a little bit of slower pace, which is really ironic because I've lived in LA for so long. But I just think I'm entering a different phase of life where I'm like, I like calmer and slower and quieter. And one of my good friends, he is like opening a hotel in Puerto Escondido. I'd never heard of it aside from him. And he was like, it's like a beach town. Like, you should go. Like, I think you'll love it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Literally, did Aisha do any research before this trip? No.
no.
I had a friend tell me it was great. I had a friend tell me there was a beach. I said, sign me up. So I packed up my 50-pound bag and things, and I got on a plane and I went to Puerto Escondido. And the cool thing that I did in Puerto Escondido that I had never done before was I had a friend visit me while I was in Mexico City, and he told me, he was like, when I'm traveling, he's like, I stay in a hostel the first like week, and then I move to an apartment. I've never stayed in a hostel. I was like, this feels like a lot of like stress for me. Like, I don't know that that's for me. He's like, no, 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 it's not that bad. You can do it. And I'm like, I don't think I can. And somehow, some way, a co-living popped up on my Instagram feed, like a random, I don't even, and it was a co-living in Puerto Escondido. And I like am looking on their website. Everyone has their own bedroom. Everyone has their own bathroom. I was like, oh. And then you could pay extra to have your own little kitchenette. So obviously, as a woman who's never stayed in a space like this, I was like, I'm gonna pay for this and get everything to have by myself in case this is like the worst decision of my life. And really, the hotel or the co-living space, they just host like community events for you. So like they do family dinners, they do sunsets, they do like spike ball at the beach, they do skimboarding lessons, like all these things. And so I stayed there my first week, and I again have never done anything like it. And so I check in, it's fine. And I'm saying this also casually, but I was like so anxious because I was like, you just don't know what's going to be on the other side. And I also think I was having my own version of like imposter syndrome of like, these are all going to be like super advanced travelers. And like, I'm the newbie with like the 50-pound suitcase and like made up things in my head, and it ended up being really great. I got there, I checked in. Again, no elevator. Luckily, the guy who owns the place carried my suitcase up the stairs for me. But the first day I got there, they were like, hey, who wants to go watch? We're gonna go watch sunset at the beach. Like, we're leaving in 10 minutes, like meet in the kitchen. And because there was like a larger kitchenette downstairs for everybody else to like share. And I was like, okay, like let me put myself out of my comfort zone. Like let me go to the beach with these people. That's like the whole point of me saying here, right? Like let me
Yeah.
go be social. So we go down, and the place couldn't be more than like a 5 minute walk to the beach. So I'm thinking we're gonna walk. We get outside. There's a pickup truck. They start climbing in the back of the pickup truck. And I was like, is this how we're getting to the beach? Like, if you could have seen how confused I was. And they were like, yeah, like, do you want to ride in the truck? Would you feel more comfortable? And I was like, no, like, let me get the full experience. And so we went to like a beach spot, like a little bit down the road to watch sunset. But my first day, I am climbing into the back of a pickup truck and holding on for dear life, riding to the beach with these strangers that I don't know. And also, if you don't know Puerto Escondido, like all the roads are not paved. Like they're very much like bumps and like all kinds of things. And he also was not driving like 5 miles an hour. Like he was like moving. And I was like, this is an experience. But like that was my first time, my first day in the co-live. And it ended up being like one of the best decisions ever. I stayed there for a full week and I loved it. I'm really proud of myself for doing it. It was good. But lots of new experiences.
Absolutely. And I love that you kind of knew yourself enough to be like, yeah, hostels are not for me, dog.
I just have
You
to be
lost me.
honest at this point. Yeah, again, I used to try and pretend, and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to pretend anymore, sweethearts. The co-living was like literally the perfect blend of the two. Like, it gave me the community aspect, but it also very much gave me like a private space in case I ended up like not having a great experience, which it's so funny how we like stress over those things. You're like, what if everybody hates me? What if I hate everybody? And then you get there and it's like, everyone's like really normal and kind. Kind of like how you would be, you know?
Absolutely. But I think it's like normal to have those worries and be like, dang, like what if I'm like the one that doesn't fit in? And you're like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like the outcast of the group. And you're like, dang, I don't want that to happen.
For sure. And like I don't really shy away from the fact either that like experiences are new for me. Like
Mhm.
one of the days we should make ceviche before we go to the beach for sunset. And I'm like, okay, sure. It's like three of the guys in the house like chopping it up, making this ceviche. And I don't know how I connected the dots, but four of the guys that morning got up at like 4 a.m. and went on a fishing trip. And I was like, is this the fish you guys caught today? And they're like, yeah, where did you think we got it from? And I was like, the market? Like, I don't know. And they're like showing me videos of them catching the fish. You would have thought I was like a small child who just has like never seen anything. Like, the guy in the video was like wrestling the fish to bring it in. It was like so cool and so fascinating. And then to be like, we're literally eating what they caught this morning on their fishing trip. Like, such a cool experience. And I don't shy away from, like, how many people do I know that have caught a fish and, like, made it at home? The list is short. So, like, I really appreciate new experiences like that. And sometimes I think it feels silly, but it's like, it truly is, like, such an exciting moment. Like, oh, we're going to eat the fish you guys caught on the fishing trip this morning. Like, that's, like, so epic. In Puerto Escondido, amongst people from like all over the world that have like really cool, interesting stories. Like, I really do have a deep appreciation for moments like that because it's just so beautiful and so epic. And like, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the beauties of traveling is it like things you would never even think of just open your eyes to like this whole like not to be cliche, but like a whole new world. Like it literally is like a
Literally.
whole new world, especially coming from LA because it's like we're in the
Mhm.
city. Like who in LA is going on their boat and being like, yeah, I just went
No
on my boat
one.
at 4 a.m. Like nobody in LA is doing that, please.
No one at all. And to be like totally honest with you, one of the things I struggled with in Puerto Escondido was, first of all, there were more earthquakes. I like moved into my apartment by myself like the first week. There's an earthquake immediately that day. I like messaged the person who owns it and they're like, yeah, Puerto Escondido sits right on a fault line. There can be earthquakes almost daily. I said, daily? So like
Ooh.
that was one of my struggle points. And I think there were like three or four while I was there. But the other thing, because we were just talking about being from LA, the adjustment to convenience and the adjustment to convenience, really. If you have never lived in a place like that, it's just a shock to the system. And From the sense of like, again, these are not real problems. Like these are convenient. The lack of convenience
Yes.
is not a real problem. But like to go from living in Los Angeles where you can have food delivered at your fingertips to living in Mexico City and even Lisbon, like all have Uber Eats, to being in this smaller beach town that like on day like 3, I opened up the Uber Eats app and it says like, we don't exist here. And I was like, never have I ever seen that notification in the Uber Eats app. And so it's just all an adjustment. And I really try to paint that picture in my content of like, I'm not saying any of this is a bad thing, but this is like the real deal to be somebody who has lived in like big cities and to go live and experience a new, smaller town. Like, here's some of the differences you can expect. And eventually you learn that you can directly message on like WhatsApp some of the restaurants and then like they'll deliver to you. But if you've never experienced that, how would you know that that's the norm or the status quo? So that convenience was also dearly missed in my time there.
Yeah, especially when you grow accustomed to it, you're just like, wait, oh my gosh, I forget that this is like not everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's just different, but it's different in like the most beautiful way possible. And I
Mhm.
think that's like the benefit and the joy of me being able to go to places and stay for so long instead of it just being like, if I was just there for a weekend, like I probably wouldn't be fazed by
Mhm.
any of those things. But being able to like immerse yourself a bit more is always so lovely. The other thing that like stressed me, I wasn't going to use the word stress, but I'm like, it did stress you, sweetheart. It's okay. Was when I went from Mexico City to Puerto Escondido, I think I did some research. One thing I will research is how do I get from the airport to where I want to stay? That is one thing I will research. And I saw that Puerto Escondido didn't have Uber.
Mhm.
So, and they didn't have Lyft. And so I was like, how do I? And I remember, and they were like, everyone's like, you just take a cab, you just take a cab, you just take a cab or a taxi. I, again, have not grown up in a city where like I just take a taxi all the time. And for it just was a new experience. So I was like, I'm gonna have to get out of this airport, figure out how to call a cab, and like know it just is more decisions to be made and more things to figure out. Do I think I'm capable of doing it? Absolutely. Does it give me a touch of anxiety that there's more pieces to the puzzle versus like I've called a million Ubers. Like I know how to call an Uber. And I remember like messaging the co-living place I stayed in being like, "Hey, do you guys have like a recommendation for a driver that I could schedule that could like just pick me up and meet me?" And they're like, "No, just call a cab. It's like so easy." And of course, like you land, you get there, and it ends up being so much easier than like you ever think. But leading up to it, I'm like, oh God, like I hope this is like easy. I hope I get from point A to point B. And it always works out. But yeah, I was like, how am I going to do this? I've never done it before. How am I going to do it? So, but you figure it out. You always figure it out.
Every time, because you're gonna make it to that
Mm-hmm.
wherever you're staying, right?
Mm-hmm. Literally.
So would you stay in a co-living again?
And that's a great question. Would I do? I made a piece of content while I was there, and I was like, yeah, I would absolutely do this again. I don't know. And the only reason I don't know, that co-living, I feel like was such a unique experience. It was like brand new. They only had maybe 10 rooms. And I don't think, from what I can gather, I don't know that all co-livings have their own bedroom, bathroom, and like kitchenette. So I guess I could do it again if it was the same thing, because one of the biggest benefits to doing it was like meeting the people, because like once I moved to my own place I still like got brunch with them or saw them at sunset, and so that was really nice to again have like the social aspect. So I'm like, what's your final answer? I would do it again. I would do it again. I would do it again, but it have to be like
Mhm.
basically what I experienced there for me to do it again.
Yes.
If somebody was like, you could have your own bedroom but like not your own bathroom, like I'm not gonna do it.
Hmm. Fair.
I know myself well enough to be like, no. So that's like, and also, do they not? You don't know who you're going to share a bathroom with when you do it the other way, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could guarantee me my own bedroom, bathroom, and probably my own small kitchenette, sure.
As long as XYZ is met, I got you.
Yeah, like if it's within certain parameters. And I'm like, but I think that's okay. Like I like
Yeah.
what I like. Yeah. I just am at an interesting crossroads of the journey now where I think part of the reason why it's harder for me to answer that question is because when I did Mexico, I was gone for 2 months, over 2 months straight. And that was my first time being away for so long. And when I did Europe, I was there for 6 weeks. And so being gone for over 2 months is like for sure too long for me. And I just don't know what the sweet spot is. And like I'm in this space of trying to figure out where I want to travel to next. And I don't know where I want to go. I have ideas, but I don't know where I want to go next. And I don't know how long I want to do it because as somebody who's not fully committed to like being a full-time traveler, like I'm not ready for that. I also is 3 weeks the sweet spot? Is 4 weeks the sweet spot? Like I'm still trying to figure that part out. And I'm like, if I'm only going to be somewhere for 3 weeks, then like I don't know that I need to stay in a co-live for a week. But if I'm going to be somewhere for 2 months or even a month, then a co-live makes sense. So that's just me overthinking it and sharing every literal thought going through my brain as you asked me that question. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I like them, and I think they're totally fair and they make a lot of sense.
Thank you for validating.
So, when you're traveling now, how does it work for you? You also don't have to answer this if you're uncomfortable, like financially. Like, did you like get like do you have like a side hustle that like helps with this, or like did you just have a lot of money saved up? Because that's like a fair amount of time to be like, I'm gonna grow
Go.
this, but not
Hmm.
really have like a 9 to 5 or like income.
Totally. And like, I'll say it here and I'll say it everywhere. Like, you probably will never see me at a 9 to 5 again, thankfully. When I first started, I had a good chunk of savings and I still do. And then what's helped carry me along the way is kind of just like freelancing. And so when I don't want to say when I first left corporate, but early on, I started doing podcast editing. And so having that skill set is like it's a pretty like high-end skill set. So I've been able to have clients through that and I still do a bit of that. And then I have the group coaching offer and I do one-on-one coaching. I have a digital product. Like so I guess now instead of my income being like from a singular source like at 9 to 5, I very much have like different avenues and obviously I hope to continue to build it and grow it. Like one of my goals for this quarter is to land my first brand deals, like paid brand deals. And so, I'm very much figuring it out as I go and making it work along the way. I don't have, I'm a woman in my 30s. It's just me. My only responsibility is like my small dog. And when I left corporate, when I'm not traveling, my home base is my parents' house. And so I've been really fortunate to have that to help create some breathing room. But yeah, it has been a mixed bag of like freelancing and trying to turn content and the brand Aisha tries into like a full-fledged business. But I would say freelancing and podcast editing have been like the main carriers to this point.
Love that for you. I wish you the
And
best. I
savings.
hope you land that. Yes, gotta love those savings.
Thank you. I'm excited. I've never had a paid brand deal. I don't have like a media kit or any of those things, but like I'm trying to turn my content into like documenting the journey and building out loud more. And so that's kind of like one of my big goals in this quarter, but also I'm trying to grow. I just launched my coaching thing and that's filled with my goal was 10 women. I got 7 women committed to it. So that's really awesome. But again, like I want to do it's a 4-week cohort and I want to do another cohort before the quarter's over. And so like figuring out how to promote and market that. There's so many things basically is what I'm saying. Like in my mind it's just
Absolutely.
like always go, 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 go. So yeah.
Yay. Well, congratulations on those 7 women. That's a huge milestone.
Thank
Woohoo.
you. Thank you.
Oh, that is so exciting. And I think it really helps that you're just a very authentic person, even on
Oh,
social media. So I feel like that will help continue to draw people to you, and your audience will definitely come
thank
in
you for
those brand
saying
deals.
that. Thank you. I really try. I think I spent so much of life doing it how I should do it or how I've been told to do it. And now I just am like, F that. This is me. This is how I'm going to get it. This is what I want to do. I'm going to overpack. I'm going to have the 50-pound suitcase. I'm going to tell you that there's not Uber and Uber Eats and those things stress me. But like, I think the more authentic I can be, the more I can trust that like the right people's paths will cross with mine. And there's not much more for me to do beyond. Obviously, I show up, I do the work, I put in the effort, I put in the time, but like, like that's how we cross paths. And like, this has been a great conversation. It's been so much fun, but it's like, I don't think you get to have these if you are pretend. I mean, I guess you can have them and pretend, but like, who wants to pretend? That's exhausting. So,
It is.
yeah, be
So
yourself.
absolutely. Yeah, that's actually, I was just gonna ask, like, if you were gonna give some advice, but I feel like there it is. Be yourself.
Yeah. And like, be yourself so unapologetically. I think. Is that my advice? That is my advice. Be yourself so unapologetically. And also just give yourself the permission to want the things that you want in this life. I think it's really easy to feel like you have to play it safe or to play it small to make others feel comfortable. And I'm just like, none of that's your responsibility. Not everyone's gonna like you. You're not meant to be liked by everybody. And that's okay. But the ones who do, like, ride at dawn for you, I don't know. I also just think like you give good energy, you receive good energy. Not too long ago, someone in my like it's funny now, but like someone in my YouTube comments, some comment section was like, "Ugh, you seem unsufferable." Is that the right word? Insufferable. And I was like, it's such strange behavior to me to take the time to comment that on someone else's video when you literally can continue to scroll. But I also
Yes,
just am like, okay, like that's just the world we live in. And like, you can't expect everyone to, to be into the vibes. And that's okay. I feel like
that
I just
is,
gave like 20 random pieces of advice, but hopefully
that's
one
also
sticks for
okay.
someone. See, you get it. You get the vibes. Like, it is okay.
But also that person was probably insufferable themselves. That's all I'm gonna
Literally.
say.
Yeah. That's the other thing I've learned. I'm like, a lot of you guys are just projecting your own insecurities and shortcomings. Like, I mean, this seems like it has nothing to do with me. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely a firm believer in the energy you put out is the energy you get back. So it's like if I
right?
don't like something, I don't ever feel the need to comment and be like, actually this is just terrible. Like in my
Literally,
head I might think that,
for
but I'm not
sure.
gonna comment.
Especially with someone like you don't know.
Yeah.
Teach their own, I'm allowed to feel how I feel. You can feel how you want to feel, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, do you have any parting words or anything?
This was so much fun. You're so amazing. I can't wait to see this to come out. And thank you for being, one of my, I have many goals, but one of my other goals this year is to do like 4 speaking engagements. And so this is going to like count as one. And I don't know. I'm really grateful. You were so awesome. I think whenever you meet people on the internet, you never know. You really just like never know. Like,
True.
is she gonna be cool or is she gonna be batshit crazy? You know?
Be a little crazy, maybe not bad shit, but a little.
And the thing is, like, even if you were batshit crazy, I probably would have sat through this whole thing and done it with you. But it's been like so awesome and so much fun and like so great to just like
Likewise.
kiki about like travel and all things life. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you. And I look forward to seeing your future endeavors and those brand deals pop off?
Claim it, claim it, claim it.
Absolutely. Well, yes, thank you again. And yeah, I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Have a good one.
You too. Perfect.